those of you who know John Held from the biology department, I visited and had lunch yesterday in Black River Falls with he and his wife. He's doing well. He has good days and bad days. For those of you who don't know, he has pancreatic cancer. He's now going on 35 years of still here. So good days and bad days, but I told him I was coming and he said to tell those of you who know him, hello, and doing the best he can.
I think most of you know Ace Stadhouse. Ace, Sally visited with Jeanette this past week, and Ace is in a, could you say a nursing home in Viroqua. And so he's not doing well, but he's doing the best he can, and Jeanette is doing the best she can. But it's been very difficult because she'd like to get him a little closer to La Crosse, and that's not happening right now. But anyway, he is in Viroqua, and he has dementia, Alzheimer's, and he is not really that much. He's having difficulties knowing who you are, so if you go to visit him, chances are he will not recognize you.
Any other announcements from the group? Okay, well, let's get into the program. First, we have a few special thanks that we'd like to pass along, because this is a special and historic day, actually, for UW La Crosse, and we're excited to be a part of that. And Sandy gave me a whole long list of folks to thank here, so just bear with me for a minute. Special thanks to Laura and Paul from Special Collections for their help with some of the historic information that we wanted today. Thanks to Lisa Weston from Res Life. Where's Lisa? I saw her over here. She's been a great assist to Sandy in planning the day out. Thanks to Brad and James from University Communications. I know Brad is in the back of the room as James had to leave. Michael was here as well. He's our photographer. So thanks to them for doing some of the write-up for us. I'd also like to thank Sandy Sieber. Sandy is the one who coordinates this for us every month and does a wonderful job communicating. So thank you, Sandy. Before we get into the reason why you're here, for the Emerti faculty, we wanted to ask, let's see, who's Jim and Laura from IT, well, ATS. IT, okay. They change their names more frequently than that. So just a quick update on the email system for the Emerti faculty and the changes that have happened over the summer and hopefully how to deal with some of those.
Thanks. I think this is the first time I've actually had a chance to come to this breakfast. And when I look around the room, I really don't see Emeriti and retirees. I look at friends. And I have gray hair as well, so I've a lot of great people here I've seen over the years. I just want to thanks Greg for giving me the chance to say a few words about email. It's been a challenge for us, to say the least. It was nothing what we really expected. And Joe knows this story as well, that UW System wanted our campus to move to Office 365. It was not on our radar, and typically you deploy that in a year, and so we had about 3 months. So that was a little bit of a challenge for us. There are some background things that I want to make sure you're aware of. It wasn't the ideal situation, and as soon as they announced it, I did think, and Laura will introduce in a second, we thought, how is this going to affect retirees in Emerti? Because after 30 or 40 years of service, it'd be pretty nice to be having an email account. Other campuses will say no. Once you are separated from the university, you typically don't have an email account, but we really wanted to be an advocate, and some of you, I'm an alum, so I know what it's like to go through the dedication of service. We want to make sure we had that. Some things happened that the reason why you didn't keep the email you had in the past was two things. One is there's a certain number of licenses that Microsoft gave us, and they did not extend the 550 licenses for our retirees and Emeriti people who are separated from the university. So that was a disadvantage for us. The other thing we found out, which was interesting, is that because that account still is going to be part of the university, it's part of open records. So all the emails that you've sent as an employee would be eligible to be called up if someone wanted to see what Janie Spencer said, or Troy, whatever the case might be, or Dick Kohler, you have a few emails you might want to take back, right, Dick? All of them. That is good. So that's something kind of came to light, that you're eligible. And the other thing is, we found that some Emeritites and retirees still use that email account for consulting and business. Well, when you think about all those emails can be brought forward, and this got to be kind of an issue. So what we did, we created this Eagle account, and what we really want to do is assure you is that it isn't a gold watch. We wish we could extend that to you, but we really want to make sure you know that it's the best we can do in the situation, but we're not going to separate our services to each of you. What we really want to be able to do is help you with your questions. Come to the Eagle Help Desk, and we'll do the best we can with your email. I know, Greg, you've been in a number of times asking questions. And there was a quote that I came by just this morning, and I think it was kind of apropos when we talk about what emails say. It says, dance like no one is watching, but email like it one day may be read aloud in a deposition. Which I thought was very apropos. So we really here want to make sure that we understand the plight you're in. If you have any questions on how you use your email, please come to help desk, call us. And I just want to introduce Laura Anderson. She's our new help desk coordinator. You can stand up, Laura. Come so you can see where you are. And Laura and I have talked about this. What we'd like to do is offer some extended workshops for each of you. And so we'll work through the group here some topics like how to use your laptop better, how to use Windows 10. And the best thing, the cost to have those is going to be what, Bill? How much is it going to cost to do those? Oh, nothing. This is our gift back to all your years of dedicated service to the university. We're very honored to be able to offer this. So we offer this throughout the semester. Pick a nice time that you can all attend. And if you have specific questions, email them to us. We'll develop some curriculum and help you out with your computing needs. So thank you, Greg. I'd like to give you a round of applause for your dedication.
Thank you, Jim. As I was standing over there, I realized I failed to introduce myself. I'm used to the Emerti folks knowing who I am, but we have a lot of students in the room as well. My name is Greg Reichert. I'm Vice Chancellor for University Advancement and President of the UWL Foundation, which means one day as alumni of this great institution, you hope I'm calling on you, because that means I'm a fundraiser. And if I'm calling on you, that means you're doing well. So just remember my name, and when I call you one day, please take the phone call, okay? All right, well, now we're going to turn the floor over. Raise your hand, students. How many students do we have in here? Thank you for coming. Residence life staff. Current residence life staff, raise your hand. And what is your official title, Jackie? Director of Residence Life? All right. Jackie just joined us this summer, right? Or maybe early this July. I came from Indiana, but previously spent a lot of time in Oshkosh. We do hold that against her. But she corrected her ways and has landed in God's country, so we're glad to have Jackie here. But I'm going to turn the floor over to somebody who probably doesn't need an introduction. Dr. Nick was here for about 20 years as Director of Residence Life. Was that your title the whole time, Dr. Nick?
Grand Poobah.
A few others we can't mention in mixed crowd, but Dr. Nick retired this summer, but agreed to be the MC for us for this breakfast. And so he's gonna take the program on. And I asked him how retirement's going, and he said it's going great. The only thing he misses are the 2 a.m. phone calls about an issue in the residence hall. So URAs, feel free to call Dr. Nick and keep him in the loop because he misses that. So with that, Nicholas.
Forget the 2 a.m. phone calls. I'll probably be up though. As one gets older, bathroom seems to call. So, good morning. It is a pleasure to be here. And I did have the privilege of serving as the second director of residence life following the incomparable Dick Kohler. 19 and a half years. Tomorrow is move-in. Well, I'll miss some of the stuff, the excitement in the students' faces and the anxiousness on parents' faces, that will be missed. But there are many things that I have not missed. Parent issues, student concerns, personnel issues, budget, occupancy, politics, meetings. So, those are some things that I have not missed, so. I thought they were retreats and they were just fun times. I don't classify those as meetings, Paula. So, okay. I have also been told, again, reminded that move-in is tomorrow. If you have nothing to do Friday or Saturday, we have 3,500 plus residents moving in. Feel free to come and participate, lug up. We've reserved some rooms on the 4th floor so you can get your extra cardio facility or activity in that day. So,
we'll get you a free t-shirt.
Yes, oh yes, don't forget the free t-shirts. I was also told that when I left, I was still in charge of the weather. So I have utilized all my powers and contacts and all the favors that I can muster. And Friday and Saturday will be excellent move-in days. It's not going to be too hot. It's not going to rain. And so if you're interested in joining these students and moving in, come see me for details as we welcome our class of 2020. In addition to the primary function of being the director of residence life, I also had the privilege of teaching at the university. I taught a section of UWL 100 for a number of years, and I was graduate faculty in the Student Affairs Administration program for 19 years, teaching the capstone class and the college student development theory class. And if memory serves correctly, when Chancellor Gao came to campus, he indicated that he would welcome to come to a class. And if I'm not mistaken, I know this, I invited him to come to our class and speak, and I believe I was the first, my class was the first one you came and presented to the students.
Correct.
Okay, good deal. In addition to those teaching duties, I served on admissions coordinator, program review, and serving and chairing many theses and creative projects. We're here today to dedicate the naming of 3 rooms within Eagle Hall. Eagle Hall is a residence hall that opened in the fall of 2011, and it seems like just yesterday we opened, but it was actually 5 years ago. This hall that was designed to offset the loss of housing space when Trowbridge and Bairds Hall were raised, and it was designed to hold 500 students. Due to our occupancy demand, we now house over 740 students in these 2 residence halls. This hall, just like any other of our 11 residence halls, in accordance with the ORL mission statement, are all living learning environments. For those of you who may not know, the mission statement reads, the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse Residence Life Program is an integral component to the university's educational mission. We provide reasonably priced and well-maintained living learning environments which are designed to foster learning, community, personal growth, responsibility, respect, leadership, and citizenship. In keeping in mind that this mission statement, as we constructed this building, we incorporated 2 classrooms and this programming space in here to enhance the educational mission of the university. In the summer of 2009, 3 buildings were raised to make room for Centennial Hall. All 3 were residence halls named after the 4 individuals we are here to discuss today. Wilder Hall became the first campus residence hall in 1951. It was transformed from a residence hall to an administration building in the early 1960s. Trowbridge and Baird halls opened in 1959 and 63, respectively, as women's residence halls, remained as residence halls until their deconstruction. All three buildings, as you will hear, were named after four outstanding early educators on the La Crosse faculty. We weren't part of the university system during that time. Over there, as you came in, you will find pictures of the three halls, plus Reuter Hall, which were raised in the early 2000s. And we have a brick representing each of those residence halls. Those are permanently on display in the Office of Residence Life in our main lobby. What I would like to do, it's my extreme pleasure to introduce three presenters who will reflect on the namesakes of these three buildings. First presentation is via a video is Dr. Mary Lou Thornburg, who will present on Beatrice and Betty Baird. Her bio is listed on the program that you have in front of you, so I'm not going to discuss that at this time. So, the video.
Good morning. I'm so sorry I cannot be with you this morning, but the spinal fusion surgery that I had in December is still healing, and my mobility is limited. I entered La Crosse State College in 1954 to attain my goal of teaching physical education. In my opinion, the program was the better of the two major programs in the state at that time. I lived in Emma Lou Wilder Hall and was very proud that the building was named in honor of one of the incredible women teaching in the department. You must remember now that my reflections are of those of more than 60 years ago. In the winter of that first year, I found my biggest challenge taking beginning swimming with Betty Little Baird. She was small in stature with a big voice that demanded your attention and compliance. She had a gleam in her eye that made one believe that her bark was much worse than her bite. I had always been afraid of deep water, so the course was a huge challenge. After 8 weeks, my fears diminished and my first hurdle was behind me. My next exposure to Little Baird was tumbling as a sophomore. This was another of my weaknesses, throwing my weight over my head in various body positions. Her patience and encouragement helped me through that, and I was required to transfer some of those skills using the diving board in another required aquatic course. My knees were constantly shaking every time I mounted the board, but the clear analysis and explanation of what I was to do gave me the courage to complete the task. Although Miss Baird was all business in class, she was personable and friendly outside of class. I was impressed by her abilities to get me to do things I never thought possible. As a junior, senior life-saving was a requirement that I remember enjoying, until someone grabbed me from behind in a death grip for the competency test. The confidence she instilled in me allowed me to conquer another hurdle. As a senior, I elected to take both the water safety instructor course and synchronized swimming. My developing interest and skill in water activities, coupled with my admiration of Miss Baird's knowledge of how to get the most out of her students, motivated me to volunteer to work the lights for the Catalina Club shows. I fondly remember many inspirational conversations in her office about teaching and learning. Her sister Bea had quite a different personality. With a large frame, she towered over most of the women students and came across to students as very serious. She was the only woman among the department faculty with a doctorate, which impressed the students, but probably put an extra barrier in getting to know her. She taught us field hockey and basketball, two of my favorite activities, several times during the 4 years. Big Baird was my student teaching supervisor during my senior year, and I got to know her through conferences about teaching and student learning. We never knew when she might appear in the classroom or on the playground of the elementary school. She was analytical and provided clear and concise suggestions to improve my teaching. Dr. Baird also taught the Organization and Administration course taken as seniors. I was so grateful for that course when I started my career, teaching in high school in the fall of 1958. The course prepared me for anything I might encounter. I know I used my notebook about the class several times during those early years. Dr. Baird was involved in summer leadership camp experience for high school girls athletic associations, i.e. GAA, sponsored by the state professional organization, which was the Wisconsin Association for Health, Physical Education, and Recreation. I was asked to be a volunteer counselor at the camp and got to know her on a much more personal level through that experience. She was very active in professional organizations and inspired me for a lifetime of service in the profession at the state, district, and national level. She introduced me to officiating sports, and I spent more than 30 years officiating high school and college basketball, field hockey, lacrosse, and volleyball. Throughout my years at Crosse, I envisioned my career to be in professional preparation program, which caused me to delve deeper into the philosophies and principles and teaching strategies used by my instructors. When I applied for graduate school, I sought Dr. Baird's advice. I considered a university in a glamorous state in the West or the Women's College of North Carolina. Dr. Baird told me that when you get a degree, it's less important than the faculty with whom you studied. That advice sent me to the Women's College for a master's degree and the University of Iowa for a PhD. I've never regretted that decision. I left Wisconsin in 1961, but did return when teaching at Iowa, when a new dorm on the La Crosse campus was named for Betty Baird in 1963. When I returned for my 50th reunion in 2008, I was disappointed to learn that the dormitories, named in honor of 3 exemplary women faculty members, had been demolished. It appeared there was no plan to honor them in some other way. In reviewing some of the history for this presentation, I discovered that Baird Hall was renamed for Betty and Beatrice Baird in 1990. I would have enthusiastically endorsed that change. Beatrice A. Baird was on the faculty at La Crosse from 1946 to 1974, and Betty J. Baird from 1947 to 1962, retiring early for health reasons. Both played a significant role in the development of the physical education program and were respected and loved by their students. I feel extremely fortunate to have had the privilege to be taught and inspired by each of these women. I'm delighted that the university is again recognizing the contributions of Emmylou Wilder, Myrtle Trowbridge, Betty Baird, and Beatrice Baird at this time. They were all very instrumental in making this university what it was in the 1950s and what it is today. Thank you.
The next presentation will be by Dick Kohler, the first director of Residence Life, who will talk briefly about the start of the Residence Life program in Myrtle Trowbridge Hall. Dick graduated from Colorado State College with a BA in Business Administration in 1960 and an MS in Elementary Administration in 1961. And he was in that role as the Director of Residence Life for 30 years. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dick. And for those of you who know Dick, I am reminding you, you have 5 to 7 minutes.
I was always popular on campus. Hit the racket one day. I don't know if they still have the racket. This racket still exists. Okay. I was the student enemy of the week. The week before it was a Cadillac because it was gas guzzling. And the week before that it was Kenny Linder, president of the university, chancellor. And when I became the student enemy of the week, I thought, I'm in good company. Kenny Linder, a Cadillac, you can't beat that. My harshest critic is here today, my wife. I was told once that you know you're old when, after you retire, the person that filled your position retires and you're invited to their retirement. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate your retiring. I can't believe I'm 82 years old. Oh, let me see. Let me get into this. Trowbridge, obviously named for Myrtle Trowbridge. She taught history from 1918 to 1954. And I'd like to know if anybody here, and I know there's one person, but I wondered if there are any other people that actually had her as a teacher. Pat, you're alone. Pat Mertens, who worked in the Res Life office for a number of years, had her as a teacher. I thought, what can be more appropriate than having one of her students here?
Can you imagine having this guy as your boss?
I mean, teacher.
I know, but you were my boss for a
I
while.
taught you, never mind.
Yeah, we won't get into that. Yes, I was really fortunate to have had Myrtle Trowbridge, Betty Baird, Beatrice Baird, and Emily Wilder as professors when I was a student. So I'm like Dick, I'm an antique. And, but Myrtle Trowbridge, I had her for European civilization at 1:30 in the afternoon. I remember it specifically. And Myrtle Trowbridge was one of those professors that demanded a lot from her students, including how we dressed when we came to class. And so, not only, of course, back in the 50s, the women all wore skirts or dresses to class anyway, and the boys were appropriately dressed in their slacks and shirts. And so at the beginning of our semester, she would say, "Now, gentlemen, I want you to wear ties to this class. You're professionals, you're going to be professionals, so you wear ties to this class. Women, do not wear red. Red is a passionate color." So needless to say, none of us ever wore red to Myrtle Trowbridge's class. And one of my friends, Joanne Isabella, had a bright blue sweater on one day. And Myrtle Trowbridge looked at her and said, "Miss Isabella, I want you to wear that sweater to this class every day. It's beautiful." And but as a professor, as a teacher, she was just wonderful. She traveled all over the world. She brought all those stories and pictures and everything to class, and she made it